Thanks for tuning in to the Urban Scope podcast. I'm back with another topic. Now, today I'll be talking about entertainment piece of my podcast. So, thinking over the past week, I was thinking to myself, what is the best Friday movie? Now, when I say best, I mean in terms of impactful for the culture. What did it mean for people or movies behind it? What did it do for entertainment as a whole, or at least especially in urban society? What movie had the biggest impact that way? So, because when you use best, that's such a loose term. You can say, whether you're talking about comedy or you're talking about writing. Oh, bless. Or you talking about um just overall, and I'm thinking about from a standpoint of just impact on how it affected other actors and other writers and other people in the industry afterwards. So, who did it influence? Things like that. So, I did a survey a while back, probably a couple months ago, of people's pick for the best Friday, and overwhelmingly, people picked Friday After Next as their favorite Friday. I'm not sure why that is, but my assumption is they probably, because it's the last movie you've seen, it had a lot of stars in it, a lot of stars that were burgeoning at the time that were, about to cross over to that stardom level. So that's probably a reason for it. But, um, especially surprising, especially since the first Friday was such a cult classic. So I was surprised by the consensus pick was Friday After Next. But nevertheless, uh, my determination of what the best movie is comes off just a simple criteria. So, and this criteria is just off star power is one. So, how many stars or stars that were rising during that time that were in the movie or in that film? And then, secondly, impact. How did it affect? Like I said, I talked about earlier. How did it impact um, stars, and how did it set the trend for the series and things like that. And then lastly, quotables. Quotables is huge in the Friday movie series, and I'll break down each movie eh, as it relates to those three criteria of star power, impact, and quotables. So, starting off with the star power, the first Friday had a lot of star power. So it had Ice Cube, of course. It had Chris Tucker, it had Nia Long, Bernie Mac, and John Witherspoon, who were some of the key figures inside that first Friday movies. Next Friday, which was the second movie, of course, it had Ice Cube as well, Mike Epps, Michael Blackson, Michael Rappaport, John Witherspoon, and Cliff Powell. And it had DC Curry, who played Uncle Elroy, who was a pivotal part in that second movie as well. And then lastly, the Friday After Next had Ice Cube, Mike Epps, John Witherspoon, Terry Crews, Cat Williams, Ricky Smiley, and some more, and DC Curry as well. And Friday After Next clearly has the edge and star power for that particular criteria. So Friday After Next has that edge. And then secondly, when we talk about impact, so that first Friday movie had a huge impact. Like, it's a cult classic. It profited 9 times the original budget. Originally, I think the budget was only like 3.5 million. They ended up doing like 27.5 million. So you know, they they made 9 times the profit of their budget. So that was pretty impactful as far as small budgets and small movies goes. Kind of showed others that they can do the same as well. And Ice Cube doesn't get a lot of credit for that. A lot of people was complaining about the royalties from that movie, but they didn't expect that movie to do as much as it did, especially for a movie only having a budget of $3.5 million, making it to the theaters. That was kind of unheard of, Then later you seen like movies like the Blair Witch Project and things like that, who were able to emulate that type of style. But also, this movie birthed Ice Cube's career as not only as an actor but as a writer and a director as well. So he was part of the writing team as well as DJ Pooh, and I believe F. Gary Gray directed it, but Ice Cube had a big part in it as well because it was his vision. No pun intended. As Cube Vision is his movie company, and it also had the best soundtrack as well. So when you think about Impact, you have to think about that soundtrack. The Dr. Dre "Keep Your Head Ringing" and all the classic songs from the '80s and '80s and '70s that they had on the movie as well. The soundtrack was clearly the best out of all of the Friday movies. So next Friday was just impactful because it showed he can sustain a movie franchise, or at least get to that point, and then create jobs for other stars and other actors as well, not just black ones, for white actors and actresses as well. So he was able to expand what he was already doing and create jobs for other people, not just for himself. But he brought along a Mike Epps, as like he did Chris Tucker in the first one. He was able to bring on Michael Rappaport early in his career. He was able to bring on, the people from the past movies, and then Michael Blackson, who made an appearance, and he pretty much blew up off of that appearance. He was only on there for a couple of minutes, but he had a very entertaining or funny part inside the Next Friday movie, and he was pretty integral, even though he only appeared for a short amount of time. Then Friday After Next, it was just a continuation of that star power and that sustainability, and then he had growth as well, and cemented himself uh, as having one of the top movie franchises of all time. But I give Friday the edge and impact. And then lastly, of course, we have the quotables. Now, Friday has a lot of quotables. You have the "How did you get fired on your day off?" Ezell saying, "I need 150,000." Um, when he asks about the cereal, we got to put some water on that stuff. Then of course you have "By Felicia," which a lot of other cultures have taken that phrase and put it on T-shirts and other things, and has used that all across different cultures. So it had a different impact culturally as well. And then Next Friday didn't have as many quotables, but he had the part when he was talking about his car. He said, "They tens, but I keep them clean." Of course, you have the Michael Blackson, "You look like the player hater that sold me this shit." That part. Ice Cube telling Mike Epps, "Don't be hooking me up with the little sister that's bigger than a big sister." And then um, you have Mike Epps when he was trying to put his pants on and he messed it up, and then he said, "Players mess up too." So that movie didn't really have a lot of quotables like that. Friday After Next had some good ones. Top Flight, Security of the World, Craig. Um, Money Mike, which was Cat Williams' character saying, "Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some pimping in it." He played a pimp on that movie. He had another quote when he said, "Use your eyes, they ain't just supposed to be hazel." That was a good underrated one. Uncle Elroy had one that said, when they were shooting a commercial and it said, "Make you want to slap your mama," and he slapped his mom and she falls to the ground. Uh, they only had one location, so it's nearest you. That was classic. But I do give Friday the edge, and uh, that and quotables as well. So I think Friday was the most impactful out of the series. Now, if you want to say the most funniest, you can easily say the third one, or I even hear a couple of people say the second was the most funniest, which I don't understand the second one being the most funniest. I like the second one as well, but the first Friday, you have to think about the soundtrack, and you have to think about what it did for the series. Without the first Friday, of course, there wouldn't been more. If that movie would have did under 3 million or worse, they might have not even continued the series. Now, recently they talked about they've been greenlit for the last Friday movie, which it'll be minus a lot of stars, but it'll be interesting to see. And of course, I'll cover that whenever that movie's drops or when we get a trailer for it. But as always, until next time, I'll see you next time.